It looks like there's something with the internet going on. Can y'all still hear me? Give me a nod. I'm looking at you. Okay, good. I don't know what that was for. But you want a list of things when I take a legal pad, and when I'm going to present a contract on like this, I've got all those things written down right beside me. If you've got it printed off, I want it in writing. I don't want something online that I just go through that contract. I'm afraid I'll forget something. You may not be that way, but I have earnest money and I check it off when I talk to them about it. I have inspection. I check it off when I talk to them about it. Closing date, check it off. You know, warranty, check it off. Survey, check it off. Termite, check it off. I've gone through that contract and I've checked off those things, and I make that in my notes, the things that I checked off. So I know I talked about that again. If you have got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15, and I hope you have those many things under contract, you're not going to remember everything that you did for each one of these without putting notes in there to say, I know I did this on this date. Date the dates that you take care of these things. So now then you've got the contract, you've gone over it with them, or you're getting ready to, you're going to pull updated comparative market analysis, or a CMA. So if it's your buyer, even if it's your seller, either one of those, you're going to want to pull a CMA, and you're going to want them to understand what the new market is saying. And it changes daily, especially where we are right now. You're going to present the offer and the facts, just the facts. Keep your emotions out of the deal, and then negotiate any changes. They're going to go, well, what is your opinion? Sometimes it's okay to have an opinion, and you're going to know whether that's an okay time to do it or not. One thing that I always say when somebody says, what's your opinion? And I'm going to say, you know what, guys, this is your home. What is your opinion? I want to give you the facts. This is what the market says it's worth. This is what you got an offer for. You are moving to Dallas and your husband is already there, and you guys want to be back together as a family. Is this $1,000 that we're talking about negotiating, is it worth it to you? I'm not telling you it's not, but I want you to think about this, and I want you to also take the emotions out of this contract and look at where you're going to go with this. And sometimes that's all it takes, is just you staying calm, mentally, a good attitude, and explaining to them what's really happening, and that this is no longer their house. Don't be offended by things that they're wanting you to fix. Don't be offended because they offered you $5,000 less and you're going to net $400,000. Is it worth it to go back? Because anytime you counter on a contract, and you let them know this, anytime you have a counter that nullifies the offer that was in there, you have a new offer on the table going back to the other buyers. Now, does that not mean you can't go back and revive it? You can, but what if they get another offer in that is a little bit better than that when you've sent the counter, and they say, hey, we've accepted another offer, we are withdrawing our counter. These are things that you need to explain to your buyers and to your sellers about things that could happen in the middle of these negotiations. So let's move on to the next thing. You're going to review the home warranty options, and you know, with the one that we're buying now, and I don't know that I've had this happen. If it has, it's not been very often. They have, and have been in this house for like 8 years, they have an AHS warranty that can be transferred. So you might want to ask them, do they have one? Is that an option, or do they need to present a new one with those different things? So that could be an option, but you want to review the warranty. If they've asked for a warranty and the seller has a warranty, and the house is listed for $430,000 and they offer $415,000, then they may decide to negotiate the warranty out. Even though they've got a warranty that says they're going to give one, they're giving a warranty for an acceptable contract. So it doesn't mean they have to do it just because it's in the MLS as offering a warranty. Then you want to prepare a seller's net sheet. Never, ever, never, get this, guys, do not go to explain a contract or to list a house without a seller's net sheet. Now, you can write one with a buyer because we don't do their net sheets, the lenders do. When you're working with a seller and on a listing and on a contract, always redo that seller's net sheet for them so they know. You can close so many deals by showing them what they're going to net. They can't see it sometimes. They don't know. They don't understand. So don't assume that they know what you know. They don't know that. Seller's net sheet, one of the most important things that you're going to do on a listing, and well, I'm going to go the most important. It's closing. You've got to understand those. and then having the seller get payoffs for existing mortgages with closing date. So when you talk to them, have them make sure that everything is correct that they're seeing on their mortgage. Call their lender, get an exact payoff, make sure that their escrow account has money in it, or is it behind, because those are things that could come up at closing. A lot of times, because they're escrowing payments, if they put more than 20% down, they are not, they don't have to escrow. They can get out of escrowing, and they can pay their escrows, they can pay their taxes and insurance. That's what escrows is by themselves. Most payments today have taxes and insurance included in that. And so you want to make sure that their escrow is up to date. It's been paid in spring. And if they're closing right now, they're probably going to get a refund, which is going to look a little bit different than your net sheet. And it's going to come outside of closing. So you're going to want to know what's in that escrow account. The title company will get it for you. But again, prepare the sellers to know they may have $2,500 in that escrow. So your net down here may be a little bit different, or it may be a little bit less, or it may be a little bit more, depending on the situation. You're going to get signatures and initials to execute the contract. This contract is not about you. Your signature does not make any difference. It does to compliance, as Carrie was talking about. We have to have our brokers and we have to have our agent signatures on there. Brokers is what's really important. Compliance is making sure that their files are in order. They answer to someone above them, meaning the team lead or the investors or the owner of a real estate company if you're not working with Keller Williams with that. So compliance is your contract Nazis. Don't be upset with them when they require these things. They are keeping you safe and out of court with the real estate commission, and because things are not in compliance and someone comes back and checks that file, just get it signed. If you should have done it, you should have done it. I've heard people go, it's already closed, it doesn't make any difference. You want a clean file, because 3 years from now, if somebody comes in and they file a complaint with that file, you want your notes where you can know exactly what you did, and you want everything signed, dotted, crossed, your T's, everything in there, so that you get, so the real estate, and we've had people turn us in before and we had everything and they just dismissed it. If you keep a clean file and you did everything right and representing them, you don't have any fears when somebody says, I'm going to turn you in. And that could be for multiple things. You'll find that sometimes you work with people that go, they're my friends, and all of a sudden they're filing a complaint because this is about the largest investment they've ever made. This is business. You are a licensed real estate agent. This is a contract. It's legal. You're licensed to fill in the blanks, but it's a legal contract. And legal contracts a lot of times can end up in court for very tiny.
You're muted, Marcella.
Did you lose me?
Yeah.
Okay. Is everybody else still here?
Yeah, I'm back now.
Okay. I don't know what happened. I moved back in here where I usually am. Maybe the internet's not as strong in there or something, so not going to take that chance anymore. All right, let me go back in. All right. Sorry, guys. Thank you for coming back in. Let's go in here and let me share that screen again. I looked at that and I went, they're not there. I don't think they're there. So that's what happens when we deal with technology. I'm glad to see your smiling faces. Everybody all right with it? Here we go. Okay, let's start where we left off just a few minutes ago. And we're getting close to being done with this. So go back in here and get everything straightened up with you guys. We're talking about negotiating an offer with the seller and buyer. This is important that you put this down. Deliver the contract to the title company, the lender, the agent, and the client. If the contract is, and facts, y'all may laugh at that or emailed, but with this deal that we've had, we're refinancing our Lake Home 2. We're dropping the rate on that. And every time I turn around, they want something faxed. Insurance companies want something faxed. So it's still happening out there. And yesterday I told Jimmy, I went, I don't even know how to fax. I think my machine will fax, but I don't know how to do that. And so I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I left it in there because there are some people that are still wanting things faxed to them. You've got to schedule your home inspection. Now, this is exactly what's going to happen as you walk through this. Review that home inspection. This is a review of what we did. Request an extension if you need it. This is really important. If you cannot get that inspection done within the first 10 business days, that's not Saturdays and Sundays do not count. We're talking about business days. If it's a holiday, it does not count if it's a legal holiday, not just something you're going to call a holiday. But if it's a holiday, then you don't have to count those. 10 business days. The 11th day, it's too late. You could lose the right to go back in and inspect that property. Very important. That is not something you should forget. Schedule a lead-based paint or other inspections if applicable. Mainly, you're going to send, a lot of times they don't do the inspections for lead-based paint anymore, but they do want the lead-based paint disclosure in there, stating that they're okay with that. If the buyer wants it, then they can get it inspected for lead-based paint. But most of the time, you just get something signed. Generally, in today's market, we're not finding as much lead-based paint out there, but still, the government wants you signing off on something. If the house was built before 1978, we need that included for compliance purposes. Well and septic, that's going to happen on rural property or Bella Vista if you've got that, with a lot of homes that are still out there. And then the termite, you need to make sure, ask them if they had a termite policy, because if they've asked, if the buyers ask for it, they can get a free inspection, but they're going to have to give a clearance letter. We've said this before, but just to remind you, a clearance letter does not mean you've paid for them to come out and inspect. So you want to know, what is it going to cost me as the homeowner and you as the termite company to come in here? I've just paid, or I paid 5 months ago, so I've got 7 months left. So what is it going to cost me to provide a 1-year clearance letter? That's the language that they need to call and ask, because that's the cost that they're going to be charged with the title company. Verify that the buyer has applied for the mortgage within the time limits. So the contract says they have 5 days. Contract the loan officer and monitor the timeline closely. Most of the time today, guys, your buyer has already been in and they've applied for the loan, because we're getting them pre-qualified. And if they're not pre-qualified, matter of fact, let me just say this. I wouldn't even work with people that don't want to go to the bank and get pre-qualified. They need to talk to a lender, at least to find out what they can afford, and to verify if their credit is where it is. You don't even have to start with, you do the right buyer's consultation if you work with them and you explain all this to them, and you've got several lenders that are affiliate partners with you, then you can set them up immediately with somebody while you're sitting there. Don't wait. Don't show property unless you know that they're qualified, and find out. I've not even talked to a lender after you do that. So don't be afraid to ask those financial questions. And then verify that their appraisal has been ordered. We are seeing more and more appraisers take longer. And I think it's because of what's happening. There are so many things selling in the market today. And we think it's a seller's market and it looks like there's less, but there's a lot of things selling. We are having, and the prices are going up. The volume is higher because that means the sellers are getting more for their property. So verify that that appraisal has been done. We just had this on our team where actually I think the lender didn't order the appraisal. They said they did, but it wasn't done and no one had accepted it. And if you get close to the end, sometimes they're 2 weeks out. So verify in the beginning, well, we're going to order it over here. I'm going to order it in 3 days. We'll order that. Then you call them back and say, did you order it? Have you heard? Has someone accepted it? And then you need to check, if you're not the listing agent and the buyer's agent, you need to check with the listing agent, because that appraiser is going to make an appointment through that listing agent to go out and look at that home. And if that appointment has not been made, you need to check on it again. And you might feel like it's a little bit redundant and you feel like you're pressuring them and doing something. It's your job to do that. So go ahead and verify. and then notify the title company of the lender information. Again, that's going to go back to the escrow form that we talked about in the very beginning. If you've got that and the agent helps you fill that out for closing, or if you fill it out, then you can send it to everybody and you've got all the information. You've only got the buyer, so you're going to talk to the the listing agent, and get their information so that you can put it on there. So both parties, even if you're having a split closing, you're going to want to do the very same thing. So a split closing means that I may be closing with Liberty Title and you may be closing with Waco Title. One thing you want to do if you're going to have a split closing is you want to make sure that the other title company is not charging your buyers any more than they would have if they were having closing together with that. Most title companies that you use them a lot, they're your affiliate partners, do not charge you more to have a split closing. And you've got somebody on your side. So if you call in the evening, you call on the weekend, they're going to answer your phone calls. Find that person that wants to be on your team. Check and see if there's any flood insurance. And do you need a flood insurance certification? The lender's going to let you know if it's in a flood zone, or a lot of times the MLS will say this is in a flood zone. And a positive outlook on flood insurance. Flood insurance is very expensive. If you own a home and you don't have flood insurance, then it's not going to pay for damage from a flood. So only people that are in a flood zone that are required to have flood insurance get paid when those kind of things happen. That's a builder told me that one time, because I'm thinking, man, this is expensive. And my negative thoughts, like, no one's going to want to buy this. They've got to pay an extra $300 or $400. And so, and then if it's a condo, a townhome, or homeowners association, if they're involved, request the necessary procedures from the association and supply that to the parties. That it's like, if you've got a townhome, there's a townhouse addendum in there. So you're going to have to get that signed. So just know your contracts and know what is supposed to be happening. Don't wait till the end and have to go back and get these things done. Order the survey or verify that it's been done. Verify utilities have been changed to the new buyer's name. Make sure that all of a sudden the day before closing, you don't go in and they go, I didn't know I was supposed to change utilities. Well, they should have thought about it, but that's our job. That's one of the things that we put on our list to make sure that we have reminded them, date it when you did that. Verify closing time. And if you do that early on, I would remind them again 3 or 4 days or a week before closing. Have you thought about changing over that? Because they may have to put a deposit down. There may be some different things, hoops that they have to jump through to get those utilities turned on. Schedule a final walkthrough before the closings. If there's something that you want to take pictures and document, you want to talk to the seller about, then do that. Don't do your final walkthrough a week before expecting everything to be normal at closing, because they may have movers that come in that knock a hole in the wall. There are all kinds of things could happen to that house when you're not there. And you have to decide, is it okay, am I going to take it? Because once you sign those documents and you sign page 4 of the inspection repair says you're accepting that house the way it is, then an attorney's going to tell you, you signed page 4, you accepted all of that. You should have had a conversation with them. You should have escrowed money for them to fix this. If the buyer is contingent on a sale, verify that the property is listed and outlined in the contract. So you want to make sure if they send you an offer that's contingent on a sale of another home, make sure that house is listed, and make sure that it's listed at market value so that you can tell your sellers exactly what's happening. In this market, we're just not seeing a whole lot of contingent sales. Now, if it's contingent on a sale of a home, that's different than it's contingent upon the closing. So be sure when you're writing these offers, contingent upon a closing, owner before this date is very different, because it's under contract. It still could domino. Anything can happen because they've got to go through the same procedure. However, there are those kind of contingencies that are being accepted readily today. Monitor the buyers and the contract to close if applicable, and you're the seller. This is on working with the seller here. Things are going to be almost the same as working with the buyer, so I'm going to move through this really quickly. If there's a contingency waiver that you need to execute, like if they have a contingency in there and you want to say, we remove the contingency, we've got the house closed, we don't need to do that anymore, get that off of there. If there's a deposit or earnest money, you want to take that. And then if you have done a multiple offers and you've got one that is backup and something happens with the other one, then you want to notify them that they're now first on the contract and then release the earnest money for the other one. And that is a training in itself. If you have multiple offers, you're probably going to want to talk to a broker and make sure, especially the first time that you do it, because there's several items that you want to look at in there, and there is a different form that you're going to fill out on the multiple offers. Take responsibility on the inspection, repairs, the appraisal, loan approval and funding, any other contingencies, other agents, and deadlines. It's your responsibility. These are the important dates that I like to look at as I'm doing the things that I'm checking off. What is the expiration date on the contract so we don't miss that? Inspection deadline, inspection responses, termite inspection. Have they done that? Loan application deadline and closing date. Seize the golden opportunity. Discussion. How do you leave a good impression? You know, what would you say? What would you do to leave a good impression? Somebody tell me that. What are some things you can do?
Smile.
Who said that? Oh, Lyndon. Okay, good. It does make a difference. Y'all heard me say that I started laughing and everybody, you know, you don't want to just be, I mean, I felt a little stupid at that meeting when I did all that stuff, but I did it anyway and made my point. Smiling makes someone feel like it's going to be okay, doesn't it? You know, when you've got, and do you see what I'm doing here? When you're sitting with someone, you're trying to get a positive affirmation. Can you feel my body? My head's nodding. This is what we want to do. So people feel good. And then what's another thing you can do? One of the things I told you, listen more than you. That's it. Skylar said out loud. Listen more than you talk. Yes. It makes them feel like they've come out of the best meeting they've ever been in, because they were the ones doing the talking. They were having to listen to the whole thing. So just communicate. You know, that's what TJ said in the very beginning, and there's nothing I think that's more important than communicating. These are some statistics. NAR reports that 88% of the clients, I'm really having a problem with my internet, guys, so that they would use the same real estate agent. It's just blacking out on me. I am so sorry if you can still hear me. Okay. Somebody talk to me and let me see if you can hear me, because it's bleeping in and out.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So are there any questions on what we have discussed today? I apologize for the internet. I honestly do not know. Let me see if I can get this out of full screen, if that will help. See, I know y'all can probably see me. I cannot see anybody. My screen is just black.
You still see your beautiful face.
Thank you very much. You get brownie points. If this doesn't get better, I may have to go to the office to do my afternoon one. And I think from what I'm hearing, the office one is, maybe it's just they're overloaded. I'm sorry, I'm not talking. I'm trying to figure out how I can see you guys. All right, let me pull that down. All right, somebody talk to me and tell me, you getting questions about the contract to close?
You can see everybody else. You don't have to see my ugly face.
I can't see anybody if you want to know the truth. So it's just my screen is black, but I know you're there just because of Zoom experiences and everything. So are there any questions? Have you started putting your affiliate group together? You know, with that said, now is a great time for you to start, like Skylar said, he's visiting with lenders, he's visiting with attorneys. An attorney can be a good person. If you've got an attorney, if you've got a legal question that you want to ask, an attorney can answer that. You can't answer those questions. So having an attorney on your side sometimes is a really good option. So that's something you may want to think about, Skylar, is that, you know, in the long run, I can run my fingers down through this. Can y'all see everything changing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really weird. Okay, let me see if I can exit out of.
Skylar, did you know that we actually have an attorney here at the Market Center? Joseph Paul Smith is an attorney, and he's also a real estate agent as well.
He's probably not going to give you a lot of referrals, though.
That's very true. However, he is a busy lawyer too.
And you know what? He is very kind. I've called him a couple of different times about different things, and he actually had lunch with me. he talked about he was going to build a team. He wanted to know what I was doing and those kind of things to make a team successful. So he wants to learn this business. So thank you for saying that, TG. He's a good guy. He really is.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stop
I've
sharing.
known him for probably 17 years. So
I
yeah,
can see all of y'all now.
Hey, Marcella,
Yes, ma'am.
I've got to go. I've got to go get Nolan from school.
Okay,
He's sick.
we're good. We'll see this. He's sick.
Yeah, they just called. I've got to go pick him up.
Okay. All right. We'll talk to you in a little bit then.
All right, bye.
Okay. I am finished. It's 11:29, so we've got 1 minute left. I apologize for the technical difficulties that we had. Let me stop the recording because